Hello once again folks, and welcome along to another video from Gundog Fly. Now, anyone who's a regular viewer will have noticed that I haven't published any video in quite some time. There's a good reason for that, and I'll go into that in more detail later on, but usually this time of the year, and for the last couple of months, I would have published maybe 4 or 5 videos, hunting videos basically, this time of the year. And now just approaching the end of January. So November, December and January, which are the principal hunting, shooting months here in Ireland, I would have been normally quite busy out hunting and making videos and all that sort of thing. But unfortunately, it's now reached a point where I've reached, if you like, a little bit of a crisis with the channel. I'm stuck for something to do for the winter because hunting basically around this area is essentially, it's finished as far as I'm concerned. There's very, very little in the way of hunting left locally here as a result of principally intensive agriculture. Intensive agriculture has virtually destroyed the local environment for wildlife here. I happen to live in a place they call the Golden Vale, which apparently has some of the best agricultural land in Ireland, if not the world. And every square inch of it is being utilised for agriculture, mainly dairying now. Dairying is where the money is at in terms of agriculture, and there's very little in the way of any provision for wildlife. Wildlife is now becoming a thing of the past here locally. Very, very sad to say, but that happens to be the case. So I'm going to show you a little video now of some of the limited hunting that I've done this season. And when you've watched this little video, I'll come back and I'll talk in a bit more detail and a bit more depth about my plans for the channel in the future and how I'd like you to actually participate and maybe help me along the way. So watch this little video and I'll be back to you shortly. This here is Tiny, English Springer Spaniel, 20 months old. No game seen at all yet. So I'm going to bring her in here where there's a pond and I'm hoping to shoot a duck. And in the event I shoot a duck, it's going to be interesting to see how she responds. So here goes. Come on, Tiny. Here you go. Come. Tiny, hey, sit. Heel. Get here, get here. Hey, heel, heel, heel. Goes a rabbit. Heel, hey, not a rabbit. Heel. Tiny, she got the trail of that rabbit. Heel up, get out. Now we got a flapping duck. Tiny, good girl, Tiny. Good girl, Tiny. She's never seen a duck before. Hey, good girl. Good girl. Come on, Tiny. Good girl. Good girl, Tiny. Good girl. Her first ever retreat. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Our first ever duck. That's Tiny's first ever duck.
So I'm very happy with the way she retrieved. It's a pity I didn't get the shot on film, but it makes no difference. She retrieved the duck for me and I'm absolutely delighted with her. Beautiful things you see when you're out in nature. She has no idea that I'm here. Closer to her. Hoping to meet a snipe. What dog at heel? Hey, heel up. Little hollow down here, slightly wet, hollow, and sometimes there's a snipe here. So. Not at home today. Big girl, Tiny. Big girl, Tiny. Big girl, Tiny. Come on, good girl. Good girl, Tiny. Good girl. Sit. Yes, a great girl. He was at home, alright. Broke his beak. Good girl, Tiny. Good girl. Good girl, come on. Good girl, good girl, good girl, dead. Shot, Tom. One grey back down. He's in trouble, all right.
So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that little video, as short as it was. That was filmed for the most part in September when the duck season and the snipe season opens, and I went out once, I think, or maybe twice in November, and didn't even meet a pheasant. Basically what's happened is the environment is being denuded of habitat for wildlife. Now, I've made a video about this before, and there's a crisis occurring in this country in terms of its biodiversity and its wildlife. We're losing the principal habitat for wildlife in this part of the country are what we call ditches. You may call them hedges or hedgerows, whatever, but that would be the principal environment which houses basically our wildlife, birds, animals, etc. Now we have some forestry and we have some bogs and stuff like that, but all the bogs locally here have been drained and turned into green fields. There's just one crop, ryegrass, that's it. It's like one massive green golf course now. The hedges and the ditches are being taken out at apparently 3,000 kilometres per year in Ireland. And there's no slow up. It's actually accelerating the level of taken out of the ditches and hedges is actually increasing. Here locally I have seen it over the last 4 or 5 years in particular, where what would one time have been maybe 10 fields, they now turn that 10 fields into one in virtually a few weeks, to take out all the internal ditches, just leaving the external ditch. And oftentimes the external ditch then is cut down to a level which cut down very low, like square on top, square down both sides, and it's like Lego land out there now when you look across the countryside. Now, just to give you an example of the detrimental effect of cutting the ditches so low, owls. We have owls here, we have long-eared owls, we have barn owls, and 1 or 2 other species of owls here in Ireland. And naturally enough, they move around at night. Now, when we had ordinary, normal ditches, if you like, they were generally quite high. They wouldn't be cut down like they are now, nothing like it. They'd be wild and they'd be high, oftentimes up to 15, 18, sometimes even 20 feet tall. So therefore, when the owl would fly, he would be obviously flying that high to avoid the ditches, and he would go out over the road ditch at that height, thereby avoiding the traffic. But now, unfortunately, in the majority of places around here, the ditches are cut so low, the owl flies out low over the road, and as a consequence, they're being killed by traffic. So their population has crashed. Now, that's partly what's causing the crash in the owl population, but that's just to give you one example. When you cut a ditch, say a 20-foot ditch down to 4 foot tall, you remove all the habitat, obviously higher than 4 feet. And some birds nest in higher areas, so therefore their nesting areas are gone. So as a consequence, we've lost 70% of all our bird life. The populations of Irish birds have crashed by 70% over the last 30 years. This is a tragedy that's occurring. Leaving aside my selfish interests of the hunting and pheasants and all that, it's a national tragedy is occurring. And apparently there's nothing can be done about it. Now, there are people agitating and trying to reverse this, but like, you're up against a very powerful lobby in the intensive agriculture lobby, if you like. They are a very powerful lobby, and they resist all attempts at trying to stop what they're doing. Now, that's the reality of what's going on here. So in my own case, I obviously haven't been doing anything like the hunting I was doing before. We have very, very few places left to hunt here locally. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, then you have to drive 5 miles to do another 10 minutes. And it's not like the days of old where you could get in and do a circle and walk around virtually the whole day if you wanted, and hunt the whole day long. Them days are gone, unfortunately. So the hunting that I will be doing from now on in the winter time will be very, very limited indeed. So what I'm asking for, and I've come to a little bit, like I said, a bit of a crisis with the channel, and what I'm asking for is your input. Now, fortunately, I'm tying flies here as it happens at the moment, orders for people. Fortunately, I have the fishing season to look forward to, and that's what keeps me going. And I've been hunting all my life and loved hunting all my life. And I've hunted with all kinds of gun dogs, and I've had every breed of gun dog you can imagine. But like I said, my hunting from now on will be extremely limited. So I'm stuck for something to do during the winter to provide videos for your good selves. So if any of you have any ideas, please leave it a little comment in the comment section on the video. Little hints or ideas that you might have, the things that I could do instead of hunting throughout the winter. It's sad that it's reached this point, but that's the reality that I'm faced with. So that's it, folks. That's the current state of play as regards me and my hunting, and to give you sort of an insight into what's happening here nationally. Now, there are parts of the country where it's not as bad, but trust me, they will get to you too. It's only a matter of time. The money is in the dairying, and that's where the agricultural movement is moving. That it's a huge industry, and it provides massive amount of employment as well, of course. But nature is paying the price for it, unfortunately. So that's it, folks. I hope it hasn't been too depressing a video. I want your input. Please let me know what you'd like to see me doing throughout the winter instead of the hunting. And thanks once again for joining me, and Gundog on Céad Uair Eile, Bígí Sláin.